The Blues Brothers, 1980, is more than just a movie. It's a cultural phenomenon, blending comedy, action, and legendary musical performances. The film brought together an incredible cast of actors and musicians, many of whom are no longer with us. From comedy legends like John Belushi to musical icons such as Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles, their contributions left a lasting impact on both Hollywood and the music industry. In this video, we honor 35 actors from the Blues Brothers who have tragically passed away, celebrating their unforgettable performances and the legacy they left behind. John Belushi played Joliet Jake Blues at 31, embodying the wild, magnetic energy that made the character unforgettable. A star on Saturday Night Live and Animal House, he became one of Hollywood's brightest talents, but fame fed his self-destructive tendencies. Despite marrying his childhood sweetheart Judith Jacqueline, their marriage suffered under the weight of his excessive drug use, unpredictable behavior, and inability to control his vices. They had no children, and as his addictions worsened, he pushed away those who cared for him. Struggling with mounting pressure and depression, he spiraled deeper into substance abuse, with failed rehab attempts and enablers surrounding him rather than true friends. His final days were spent in a haze of heroin and cocaine, his once brilliant mind clouded by addiction. On March 5, 1982, at just 33, he was found dead in a bungalow at the Chateau Marmont, a victim of a lethal overdose that cut short a career filled with both genius and tragedy.
The caddy. Where's the caddy?
The what?
The Cadillac we used to have, the Bluesmobile.
I traded it.
Kathleen Freeman played Sister Mary Stigmata at 57, her strict yet humorous performance making her one of the film's standout characters. A respected character actress with a career spanning over 50 years, she was a fixture in Hollywood, appearing in films and television alongside comedy legends. However, her personal life was much lonelier. She never married, dedicating herself entirely to acting, which left little room for love or family. Though admired professionally, she spent much of her later years alone, her success overshadowed by a quiet sense of isolation. As the roles slowed down, her health also deteriorated, and a lung cancer diagnosis marked the beginning of a painful decline. She continued working as long as she could, performing even while undergoing treatment, but the disease gradually stole her strength. On August 23, 2001, at 78, she passed away, far from the vibrant woman who had once brought laughter and life to the screen.
The county took a tax assessment of this property last month. They want $5,000.
James Brown played Reverend Cleophas James at 47, bringing his electric energy and gospel-infused performance to the role. A revolutionary figure in music, his career was defined by groundbreaking hits and an unstoppable stage presence, yet his personal life was filled with darkness. His 3 marriages, including to Adrienne Rodriguez, were marred by accusations of domestic violence, and his struggles with drugs, weapons charges, and run-ins with the law further tainted his legacy. Though he fathered multiple children, his relationships with them were distant, overshadowed by his erratic behavior and obsession with his career. As he aged, financial problems, legal battles, and declining health took their toll, and pneumonia left him weak and barely able to speak. On December 25, 2006, at 73, he died alone in an Atlanta hospital, a once indomitable force now silenced. His final days filled with suffering rather than the triumphant music he had spent his life creating.
Part of them this line. Wait a minute. Those lost language souls roaming unseen over the earth.
Cab Calloway played Curtis at 73, bringing his signature charm and musical brilliance to the role of the wise and soulful janitor. A jazz legend from the Harlem Renaissance, he once ruled the stage, leading the iconic Cotton Club, but the golden age of swing faded, leaving him struggling to stay relevant. Though married to Zoe Calloway for over 5 decades, the strains of touring, financial struggles, and infidelity created cracks in their long marriage. His children saw more of their father on record covers than at home, and despite his fame, he often felt like a forgotten relic of another era. In his final years, a series of strokes robbed him of the very things that had defined his life, his ability to sing, dance, and perform. The once vibrant showman was left trapped in a failing body, his days spent in silence rather than song. On November 18, 1994, at 86, he passed away, the world having moved on from the man who once said it dancing.
Man, we were so close.
Hey,
You guys know Minnie the Moocher?
I knew a hooker once named Minnie Mazzola.
No, the song Minnie the Moocher.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher played the vengeful mystery woman in The Blues Brothers at 24, portraying a scorned ex-fiancé with relentless determination. Off-screen, she was the daughter of Hollywood icons Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher, but her life was far from glamorous. She struggled with addiction from a young age, using drugs to cope with bipolar disorder and the pressures of fame. Her marriage to Paul Simon was passionate yet tumultuous, ending in divorce, and though she loved her daughter, Billie Lourd, she often felt consumed by loneliness. Fisher faced cycles of rehab, depression, and self-destruction, despite her sharp wit and brilliant writing career. On December 27, 2016, at 60, she suffered a cardiac arrest on a flight from London. She was rushed to a hospital but never regained consciousness. A toxicology report later revealed traces of cocaine, heroin, and other substances in her system, a tragic reminder of her lifelong struggles.
Well, Jake, you look just fine down there, slithering in the mud like vermin.
No problem.
John Candy portrayed the kind-hearted parole officer Burton Mercer in The Blues Brothers at 30, bringing warmth and humor to the role. In real life, Candy was a beloved comedic giant, but his personal struggles ran deep. Plagued by self-doubt and pressure to stay relevant, he sought comfort in food, leading to lifelong battles with obesity and health issues. Despite a devoted marriage to Rosemary Hobart and their 2 children, his relentless work schedule left him physically and emotionally exhausted. Candy attempted to make lifestyle changes, but years of stress and unhealthy habits took their toll. While filming Wagons East in Mexico, he suffered a massive heart attack in his sleep on March 4, 1994, at just 43. His sudden death devastated his family and fans, marking the tragic end of a man who had spent his life making others laugh while battling his own demons in silence.
Who wants an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
Donald "Dub" Dunn played himself in The Blues Brothers at 39, his effortless bass playing adding an authentic groove to the film. A respected musician, he spent his life on the road, performing alongside legends but often sacrificing personal stability. His long marriage to his wife, June, endured, but constant touring left him more at home on stage than with his family. The endless cycle of travel, performances, and late nights wore on him physically, but he refused to slow down. Even in his later years, he continued playing worldwide, never truly retiring. On May 13, 2012, while on tour in Tokyo, he played a final show before heading to his hotel, where he died in his sleep at 70 from natural causes. Though his bass had shaped the sound of generations, he passed away far from home, a road warrior to the very end. Paul Reubens played the peculiar waiter in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 28, bringing his signature quirky humor to the film. Though a minor role, it foreshadowed his later success as Pee Wee Herman, a character that made him a household name in the 1980s. However, his fame came crashing down in 1991 when he was arrested in an adult theater, causing widespread scandal and effectively destroying his career. Though he later attempted a comeback, the stigma never fully faded. Reubens never married and had no children, living a highly private life filled with solitude. Behind the scenes, he struggled with depression and the lingering effects of his public disgrace. In his final years, he secretly battled cancer, never revealing his illness to the public. On July 30, 2023, he died at 70, his death shocking fans who never knew of his suffering. Though he left behind a legacy of laughter, his personal life was marked by loneliness, missed opportunities, and a career forever haunted by controversy.
5 shrimp cocktails and some bread for my brother.
We have a Dom Perignon 71 at $120.
That'll be fine, pal.
Henry Gibson portrayed the menacing yet oddly comical head Nazi in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 45, bringing a mix of absurdity and menace to the role. A seasoned character actor, he first gained fame on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In but spent much of his career typecast in eccentric or villainous roles. Despite memorable performances in Nashville, 1975, and The Burbs, 1989, true mainstream stardom eluded him. He married Lois Geiger in 1966, and while their marriage lasted until his death, his demanding career kept him away from home, creating emotional distance between him and his 3 sons. In his later years, he faced declining health, with cancer slowly overtaking his body. Though he continued acting, his energy faded, and he quietly withdrew from Hollywood. On September 14, 2009, he died at 73, largely forgotten by an industry that had moved on, his final years marked by illness and the melancholy of a career that never fully reached its potential.
The sacred and ancient symbol of your race since the beginning of time.
Aretha Franklin played the fierce and unforgettable soul food cafe owner in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 38, delivering one of the film's most iconic musical numbers. Though celebrated as the Queen of Soul, her personal life was fraught with pain. She had her first child at 12 and endured abusive relationships, including a volatile marriage to Ted White. Her second marriage to Glenn Turman also ended in divorce, and she struggled with depression and weight-related health issues throughout her life. Though she remained a musical icon, she suffered financial troubles and family disputes in her later years, with legal battles over her estate beginning before her death. Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, she fought bravely but ultimately lost the battle. On August 16, 2018, she passed away at 76, her final days marked by suffering, family turmoil, and the fading of the powerful voice that once defined generations.
You got any white bread?
Yes?
I'll have some toasted white bread, please.
You want butter or jam on that toast, honey?
John Lee Hooker played Street Slim in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 63, adding authenticity with his deep blues roots. A true legend of the genre, he revolutionized music, yet he spent most of his life struggling financially due to exploitative contracts and an industry that took more than it gave. Despite his fame, he never found personal stability, fathering multiple children with different women but maintaining distant relationships with most of them. Constant touring left him isolated, and even his later career resurgence in the 1990s could not undo decades of hardship. As he aged, diabetes and other health issues took a severe toll, and by the end of his life, he lived in near solitude, rarely seen in public. On June 21, 2001, he died in his sleep at 83, a blues icon whose life was filled with as much sorrow and struggle as the songs he sang. Though revered after his death, his final years were marked by illness, loneliness, and the fading echoes of a lifetime spent on the road.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was Boom Boom, the song that I wrote back in the 50s. No, you didn't. Well, such a big hit. No, you didn't. That's it, right?
Ray Charles played Ray in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at the age of 50, bringing his unmatched musical talent and charm to the role of the blind yet perceptive music store owner. His character, though lighthearted, reflected his own real-life struggles. His ability to see potential in others symbolized the resilience he carried throughout his turbulent life. A pioneer of soul music, Charles delivered timeless hits like Georgia on My Mind and Hit the Road Jack, yet behind the fame, he battled a heroin addiction that consumed him for nearly 2 decades. He married Della Beatrice Howard Robinson in 1955, but his constant infidelities and drug abuse led to their divorce in 1977. He fathered 12 children with multiple women, but his relationships with them were strained due to his career and personal demons. Though he overcame addiction in the 1960s, he suffered declining health in later years. By the early 2000s, he was plagued by liver disease, and he passed away on June 10, 2004, at 73.
You have a good eye, my man. That's the best in the city of Chicago.
How much?
$2,000 and it's yours. You can take it home with you. As a matter of fact, I'll throw in the black keys for free.
Steve Lawrence played Maurice Lyon in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at the age of 45, embodying the slick, fast-talking booking agent who helps orchestrate the band's big show. A celebrated crooner alongside his wife, Eddie Gorham, he found fame in the 1950s and 60s, but as music trends shifted, he struggled to stay relevant. Though his marriage remained intact, tragedy struck in 1986 when their son, Michael, died of heart failure at just 23, a loss from which he never fully recovered. He continued to perform, but his audience dwindled, and he faded from the public eye. In his later years, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, a cruel disease that slowly robbed him of his memories, including those of his greatest triumphs. On March 7, 2024, he passed away at the age of 88, his final years spent in a fog of confusion, with his once brilliant mind reduced to shadows of the past.
Crystal, we always knocked them dead in those joints.
Discos. They're all discos.
Singles, mixed singles, gay singles.
Charles Napier played Tucker McElroy in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at the age of 44, portraying the aggressive leader of the Good Old Boys band who relentlessly pursues the brothers. Known for his rugged roles in Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and The Silence of the Lambs, Napier had a commanding screen presence but struggled behind the scenes. His career was filled with near misses, often cast in minor roles instead of the leading man status he craved. He married Dolores Wilson, but his Hollywood ambitions and long absences strained their relationship, leading to an eventual divorce. He had 2 children but remained distant from them, dedicating himself to work while battling bouts of depression. As he aged, he struggled with financial instability and declining health, feeling forgotten by an industry that once admired him. On October 5, 2011, he died alone at the age of 75 from a blood clot, leaving behind a career filled with untapped potential and a personal life marked by regret.
May I see your cards, please?
Suppose we ain't got no union cards and we go in there and start playing anyway. Now, what you gonna do about that? You gonna stop us? Stein?
Eddie Donno, credited as Edward Donno, played the SWAT team commander in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at the age of 45, leading the frantic pursuit that added high-stakes action to the film's chaotic climax. A fearless stuntman, he performed daring feats in blockbusters like Die Hard and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, often putting his body on the line for the sake of cinema. However, his career came at a cost. His dedication to dangerous stunts led to severe injuries, forcing him to retire earlier than planned. His marriage crumbled under the strain, and he never had children, spending his later years in relative obscurity. As Hollywood shifted to CGI, his expertise became undervalued, leaving him struggling financially and emotionally. Diagnosed with cancer in the early 1990s, he endured his illness alone. On October 19, 2014, he passed away at the age of 79, largely forgotten by the industry he had risked his life for, his legacy overshadowed by the very action films he helped create.
Excuse me, did you see 2 guys come in here, black suits, black hats, one carrying a briefcase?
Yeah.
James Avery played the man dancing outside Ray's shop in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at 35, bringing infectious energy to the lively scene. Though later beloved as Uncle Phil in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Avery's personal life was not as joyous as his performances suggested. Raised in poverty by a single mother, he longed for a sense of belonging but often felt isolated, even after finding fame. He married Barbara Avery, and while they remained together, their marriage lacked the joy he craved, especially as they never had children. Despite his booming voice and strong presence, Avery battled deep insecurities about his weight and health, struggling with diabetes and hypertension. As Hollywood's demands changed, he found fewer roles, leading to a quiet retreat from public life. His health worsened, and he underwent open-heart surgery in late 2013. complications arose, and he passed away on December 31, 2013, at 68, a man celebrated for his warmth on screen but burdened by private struggles.
Now, I love my coffee. It's probably the one thing I truly do cherish on this godforsaken mudball called Earth. Now, what I'm trying to say is that most examiners...
Gary McClarty played the man in Toy Story in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 39, a minor role in a film that was otherwise dominated by larger-than-life characters. A legendary stuntman, McClarty spent his career enduring life-threatening stunts, from high-speed chases to brutal falls, breaking bones and pushing his body to its limits. While Hollywood respected his talents, it offered him little in return. His personal life suffered immensely. His marriage crumbled under the pressure of his dangerous career, and his only son grew distant, resenting his absence. He struggled with chronic pain, relying on painkillers and alcohol to numb both his physical and emotional wounds. His later years were marked by seclusion, his phone rarely ringing with job offers, leaving him feeling discarded by an industry he had risked his life for. On October 11, 2014, at 73, he passed away from natural causes, alone and largely forgotten by those he had once entertained with his fearless performances.
Okay.
Would there be anything else?
Yes, do you have a Miss Piggy?
Pinetop Perkins portrayed Luther Jackson in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 67, bringing a raw authenticity rooted in decades of struggle in the blues scene. Born into extreme poverty in the segregated South, he spent his youth playing in smoky, dimly lit juke joints, barely earning enough to survive. Though immensely talented, he lived in the shadows of more famous blues musicians, often playing backup for others while receiving little recognition. His personal life was just as lonely. He never married, and his children, estranged from him, rarely visited. As he aged, his eyesight failed, arthritis gnarled his fingers, and performing became increasingly painful. Yet, he continued playing, terrified that if he stopped, he would fade into obscurity. After a lifetime of struggle, he finally won a Grammy at 97, but by then, the joy of success had long since dulled. He died on March 21, 2011, at 97 from cardiac arrest, leaving behind a legacy that took nearly a century to be acknowledged.
Back in the 50s. No, you didn't. Well, put the big hit. No, you didn't. That's it. I know Boom Boom. I know Boom Boom.
Judith Belushi-Pisano played the cocktail waitress, credited as Judy Jacqueline, in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at the age of 29, a small but personal role in a film deeply tied to her life. As the wife of John Belushi, she was intimately connected to the chaos and brilliance that surrounded the film's production, standing by her husband as his career skyrocketed. However, fame came with devastating consequences. She witnessed firsthand his descent into addiction, unable to save him from the destructive path that would claim his life just 2 years later. The grief was unbearable, and though she tried to rebuild, the weight of his legacy always loomed over her. She worked to preserve John's memory, writing about their life together and producing projects in his honor, but the shadow of tragedy never fully lifted. Her later years were spent balancing nostalgia with the pain of loss, forever tied to a man who burned too brightly and too fast. She passed away on July 5, 2024, at the age of 73. Norman Matlock played the stern police commissioner in The Blues Brothers in 1980 at 55, embodying authority and determination in his pursuit of the Blues Brothers. Despite his commanding performances, Matlock's acting career never reached great heights, often confined to supporting roles. In real life, his strict, disciplined nature carried over into his personal life, where he struggled to connect with his family. Though he married and had children, his emotional distance created a strained household, leaving his relationships fractured. As Hollywood evolved, roles became scarcer, and he faded into obscurity, living in near seclusion. The industry that once embraced him had moved on, and his later years were marked by declining health and loneliness. On September 30, 2015, he passed away at 90 due to natural causes, a man who had spent his life playing figures of authority but ultimately left the world with little recognition. Luther Guitar Jr. Johnson played the guitarist in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at 41, his raw blues style bringing a fiery energy to the film's soundtrack. A gifted musician, he spent decades struggling to gain recognition, watching as others found fame while he remained in their shadows. His love for music often came at the expense of his personal life. His wife, feeling neglected, left him, taking their daughter with her. Though he longed to repair his fractured relationships, his relentless touring schedule made it nearly impossible. As he aged, illness struck, cancer slowly consumed him, though he refused to let it define his final years. He continued playing even as his body weakened, refusing to let go of the music that had both lifted and destroyed him. On December 25, 2022, at 83, he died from complications of cancer, his guitar finally silent, his name never quite reaching the heights he had dreamed of. Willie Big Eye Smith was the drummer in the Blues Brothers in 1980 at 44, his rhythmic precision driving the film's electric musical performances. A dedicated bluesman, he spent his life on the road, playing in smoky clubs and barely making enough to survive. His constant touring took a devastating toll on his personal life, his marriage crumbled under the strain, and his son grew up resentful of his absence. Though he played alongside legends, fame and fortune never found him, leaving him struggling financially well into old age. He developed health problems, but continued performing, fearing that stepping away would mean complete obscurity. A series of strokes made drumming increasingly difficult, yet he persisted, determined to keep his passion alive. Recognition finally came in the form of a Grammy, but by then, his body had betrayed him, and he could barely enjoy the moment. He passed away on September 16, 2011, at 75 from a stroke. Who is your favorite character in the Blues Brothers? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.